I came down with a very, very high fever. It was 111 in Fahrenheit or 44 degrees Celsius. So it was,
Wow.
yeah, this is like high fever. And I'm sitting there on the hospital bed because I'm not moving. I mean, at that temperature, you're not moving. And I'm on the hospital bed, and then I sat up and I looked behind me, and there's my bed, my body back on the bed.
Oh, wow.
And then I
Huh.
floated out of my body and into a dark tunnel.
Hmm.
And very, this is pitch black. You can't perceive anything, but it was so loving and
Huh.
non-judgmental and just blissful. And I mean, I thought this is fantastic. I don't know where I am, but this is great.
Hello, this is definitely my honor to have my guest, Lay Moore. She is the international bestseller author. There Was No Fear. She has amazing experience through her life journey. Hi, Lay, how are you?
Hi, Sunny. I'm wonderful and so grateful to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
The first time I saw her face, I said, I think I saw her somewhere, but I just don't have the clear memory. I finally realized she was in one of my favorite shows, The Next Level Soul. She was a guest by Alex Ferrari, September last year. I'm so honored and happy she's here with us. Lay Moore has her non-physical experiences through multiple times. Then by her non-physical experiences, she knows she's not only just a three-dimensional being, she has more potentials. So with that experience, she's passionate to help others. You mentioned about several different near-death experiences, not only once, you got multiple times. Then you have a shared experience too. Maybe that's how you become who you are today and passionate to help others.
It definitely was part of my timeline, the reason for which I came here. Of course, we don't know that on the 3D level when we get here, but I can look back at it now and see all of these events as a single timeline, a single through line for my entire experience. And each of these little pieces of it is like a chapter or a part of it, but they're all part of the same singular timeline. And so the major one, there's been all throughout my life, there's been all sorts of interesting things. But the first major one was my near death experience when I was 21 after the birth of my second son. And his coming into the world was a little interesting. He kept turning flip flops in my stomach. So now, anybody who's had children, any mothers out there, imagine you're in labor and your child is doing flip flops in your stomach. Let's put it on top of that. Because of that, the medical staff there was very concerned that he might get wrapped up in cords or strangle himself or something like this. So they're reaching up physically inside of me to turn him around with their hands. This is beyond painful. And I don't blame them at all for what happened. The situation was very tense and they didn't have time to think. But he came into the world. And then within 2 days, I came down with a very, very high fever. It was 111 in Fahrenheit or 44 degrees Celsius. So it was,
Wow.
yeah, this is like high fever. And I'm sitting there on the hospital bed because I'm not moving. I mean, at that temperature, you're not moving. And I'm on the hospital bed, and then I sat up and I looked behind me, and there's my bed, my body back on the bed.
Oh, wow.
And then I
Huh.
floated out of my body and into a dark tunnel.
Hmm.
And very, this is pitch black. You can't perceive anything, but it was so loving and
Uh,
non-judgmental and just blissful. And I mean, I didn't ever, I thought this is fantastic. I don't know where I am, but this is great. And I floated through this for a little while and I came to what I perceived, because it's still pitch black. And I mean, this is like creation level pitch black.
Mm,
And I
mhm,
got to what seemed like it got wider. Like maybe it was a room or who knows what, but it was a little bit wider. And I
mhm,
thought,
mhm.
okay, it still feels the same. This is fantastic. Great. And then I heard this voice, and it was the most loving, most gentle, kind, non-judgmental voice. And I perceived it as a he. I don't know that, but that's how I perceived it. And he said, "Do you want to come now?" I instantly knew what it was he was asking me, and there was just a moment of panic. And I just, it didn't, there wasn't even a choice in my mind. I said, "I can't. I have 2 children to raise." And I perceived a little nod of the head, no judgment, just a little nod of the head. And I went back down the tunnel, flopped back in my body. The fever broke, and I was out of the hospital the next day.
Wow. So you still remember the whole thing, right? From the time until now, you're still very clear about what happened through the experience, huh?
I remember it now, but having been raised in a very strict religious family, I knew that any such thing or mention of it, let alone having these things, would send you straight to hell. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow. Hmm.
and especially because I had a very difficult childhood with my mother, who was very overwhelmed and very angry. I thought, if hell is worse than that, there is no way I want to go there. So I pushed
Yeah.
it down inside of me and I hid it. I kept
Mm.
one part of it. I kept the empowerment that I knew that I
Wow.
had chosen to be here, that I had a purpose to be here, and I had a reason for being here. And I kept that.
Mm.
And I kept the calming presence that I had, that I got from it. Because if you're if you know that there's no death, you also know that you're able to live life. So
Mm.
I kept
Yeah.
that from it, but I put the experience down for about several decades. So we go on a little bit further. I was born in Hawaii, and I'd managed to move back to Hawaii, which is, anybody who thinks that they cannot jump timelines or change their life, you can. It's a matter of a choice and doing whatever is necessary to make that happen. And I did it, and I did it without a whole lot of money, as people think, but I did it. So
Mhm.
I'm now in Hawaii, and I've got myself kind of settled and such, and I get sick again. I get really, really, really sick. And now we're going to skip a few of the events and go straight to the really important ones. September 2019.
Mm.
And again, really high fever. I mean, this is super hot part of the year for Hawaii. This is like,
Mm.
everybody else is like, oh, it's just it's so hot. Well, I was covered in every blanket, every sheet, every piece of clothing,
Wow.
everything I could, and I was still shivering. But as I went on, and I was in bed, I went somewhere. I don't know how I went there. There was no tunnels or anything like that. But all of a sudden I'm in this place, and it's very indistinct, very kind of foggy, but it's nice and warm, and it feels the same way. The color is kind of a brown, orange, pink kind of color. Um, and I can't see anything, but I
Wow.
can perceive that there's a whole bunch of beings around me. I don't know who they are. I can't see them at all, but they're there. And they're chanting to me over
Mm.
and over, "You have done what you came here to do." And I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. What? And when it struck me what it was they were saying, and
Hmm.
I instantly realized what they were saying, back in my body, and the fever broke. And I'm like, if I've done what I came here to do, why am I here?
You choose to do more.
Well, the first thing I did was I started organizing, making sure as soon as I could get up, and I was still, I mean, I would never have the same strength as I had had before that. Okay. But I am strong enough that I can move around some. And so the first thing I did was I made lists of everything, tried to organize everything. So if I was to be gone right away, fairly soon, whoever was still behind me would have as easy a time as possible doing, taking up afterwards. But the other thing that I did, if I'm going to die quickly, if I'm going to die soon, I want to do it well. So I got connected to the best source I could possibly have for learning these things, and that was Ram Dass. And I went through absolutely everything that he had, and I learned as much as I could. And I learned, the main part of what I learned is that from him was, there really is no death. And when we leave form, our energy is still there. Our energy, in fact, is now free, and it's part of everything and everywhere. You can't go anywhere. And I knew, by this time, he's like very, very close to leaving form himself. And I knew that when he went, he didn't want anybody grieving for him. He wanted us celebrating his freedom, celebrating that he had made it to what's beyond, and he was now everywhere. And so that all happened, the culmination of that and learning that about him. He left form on December 23rd. December 25th, I'm sitting on the couch because, again, I'm not very strong yet. I'm really weak. And off to the side of me is the carport. And outside of the carport, there is just all sorts of trees and forest stuff, and there's no paths or anything. And I'm sitting on my couch, and there past me walks Ram Dass. I didn't know that at the time. Someone is walking past my carport. I'm sitting there, and someone walks past my carport. What? And I noticed this person was wearing a white gown and was kind of shaggy and kind of like what you'd expect Ram Dass to look like in his guru days. and all of a sudden I thought, that's Ram Dass. And he kind of turned his head at me and went, yeah.
Thank you for
recognition. So I managed to get up after he walked on by. I managed to get up the strength, and I walked out past the carport. And there, in December, when it is not fruiting season at all in Hawaii, on the ground were 4 perfectly ripe, perfectly shaped, same size guavas in the shape of a diamond. He'd left me a gift because he knew that I was celebrating his passing, his transformation, his freedom, like he wanted, like he would like all of us to do.
Wow. Yeah, that is such an amazing story. When we're busy, when we are really focused on the 3D thing, like making money and fighting against others, those kind of low vibes, we can only experience that level of the reality. Once you not associate to that low form body, you start to experience the voice and the frequency, all different warm, fuzzy thing. But then you got this opportunity to say yes, yes or no. Let's celebrate, right? We have this amazing gift. I really appreciate you have this opportunity to share your story. I believe that's in your book, right? There Was No Fear. It's definitely, I will put the link, want people to get a copy.
Okay, people do come to me for individual sessions. My website, handletheshift.com, has everything on it. It's built under the New Earth model or the new business model. The point is for me to make my services, my ability to help, to guide other people, using the intuitions that are coming through me from the wisdom keepers. But it should be available to everyone equally. some people, especially people in all parts of the world,
Mhm.
may not be able to afford the prices that would be charged, say in the United States. So everything I have is donation based, or can be donation based. In the new world, we are all equal. We
Yeah.
are all of the same. There's no castes. There's just all of us being equally part of the same whole, and yet the individual that we came here to be. And it should be as a community, and we should all, we can all work together in this community,
Yes.
giving and receiving what we have.
I encountered human design systems 3 years ago. My background is in science, so everything for me is kind of patterns and code, very analytical mind. For me, it's the tools. The human design system is more like to disclose our energy flow. We have 9 different energy centers within our body, and they are all connected. You are one of the 4 energy type called projector. The projector is very special energy type. Projector and the other 2 reflectors and manifestors all depend on the generator to supply the clean energy. Projector role actually is like manager. You are like a natural born manager for the doers. Usually you project them out back to you. In particular for people who has open centers, you have 6 of them. Every center have a different purpose for the energy communication. And if you got that many open centers, that means you'd be easier to be influenced by anybody around you. Then you particularly can know what they're thinking because you're just absorb their thoughts. If you grow up in the very violent or not secure, or people is really not peaceful together, you will have that imprinting. Then you believe that's you. So that is based on I see your human design energy flow. I don't know whether there's any story you want to add to it.
As I said, I grew up with a very rough upbringing, and that sounds very much like me, actually. I've always been put in management positions. For much of my early time, and that would be until the last couple of years, I always felt like everything, like I was swimming across the ocean alone and expected to make it even without any help. So that all fits perfectly in what you said, until I had the shared death experience with my mother, who was in prison at that time and had been for 15 years for the murder of my sister-in-law. And right before that, I had done a healing. I had asked for a healing, and they'd put me in a theater. This is all what I'm seeing and experiencing. They put me in a theater. I'm the only one there. And the first person I see on the stage is the director, who is also me. And then I see the producer back in the booth, also me. The actor, also me. Oh, and by the way, sitting next to me is the author, the writer of this, also me. And then as the play goes on, I notice that all of the people in my play are actors, and that my mother had done all those horrible things to me all my life, or all my early years, because she loved me so much that she wanted me to have the foundation to be the person I am now, to be able to help the people or to guide the people the way that I do, to be able to, like you said, be the projector and see, actually know what they're going through, feel it, which I'd been doing all my life. But now to be able to turn that and guide them how to get out of this, how to move forward without telling them you need to do this, but guide them to find their own steps. And I needed to have all of that experience to be able to do that. That was when I became free. After the healing, I'm just in bliss, and I'm able to help people so much better. But then came a point in time in December again, and I just woke up one day and I was just all jittery and everything was like, and I didn't know anything about what was going on. I couldn't do anything about it. It was just overwhelming. And this lasted for 3 days.
Wow.
I was not functional. I tried every method out there. Nothing touched it. And then on the third day, I woke up in the most joyful freedom and bliss and love. And it was maybe even more fantastic than anything else I'd ever felt.
Mm.
And I didn't know what was going on. And then later that day, my brother called me and he said, our mother died this morning. And I told him what I'd been going through. And I realized I was sharing her experience of leaving form. But now that I had experienced all of this with her, I could also experience her freedom, her joy, her love, even more so than I had before. So yes, your gene keys are right on. But the thing is, even if you have that background, you can change it. You can make it better. You can heal and you can move on.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing about that is, and it works with the gene keys very well, is if you are also the author, you can change the script at any time.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can choose. We all know everything happened at the same time, the here and now. Like it's not like the timeline, but we feel because the 3D, we need to have reference points. So we have the timeline, we feel, but then if you really watch the movie, the whole film's already made. It's just different frame, right? You can pick which you want to watch. So you can definitely have that free will choice. Just like you said, we are loved. Our parents and everybody we encounter, we bring the particular lessons or messages, and we can mingle them for a while. The gene key for me is the other set of tools. They have the 3 levels of the consciousness. The lower one is called shadow. We all have default shadow. Then we start to give more space and time. We become to have more creativity. Then that become a gift. Eventually, the highest point is the shadow from the other side, is the light. I see that as we are in the middle, and the light is on our back and shadow is in our front. So if we are not cleaning up, if we are not accepting who we are, we only just want to see the shadow. Then we didn't know light is just together with us. So with that, all this mix of the emotions, when we are not really accepting ourselves, living the life, living the present, we create a field with all this bitterness, frustration, anger, whatever. Well, I can see I'm so guilty about so many years I put those negativity out, but now I can make a choice. I like to share your Pearl sequence. That's one of the 3 in the Gene Keys Golden Path. The Pearl sequence is about the vocation and the personal brand. In my view, we come in here to learn and do things, to entangle with others, but the real purpose to remember. Your vocation is 15, and the key 15 in ancient I Ching is the best key because that's humility. Like you are showing up who you are and you don't even know how good you are. The line number 3. So number 3 is you are more flexible and you have strategies. You are transformative if you choose to. In the beginning, in the low vibes, you are the dullness, but you're not going to be happy with that because you're not just boring. Based on your life's experience, you are very colorful. So you start to shift to magnetism. You become a magnet. Things will flow to you. Like I find you twice, right? Then the highest is the fluorescence. So you're actually, other than shiny, you have this fluorescence light. It's very unique kind of the light. That's your vocation. That's your role for your business. So you just need to be you, keep shining. Then you offer strategies for people come to see you. That is the best for your business. Then the second sphere is called culture. So the culture is the structure of the business. The number for you is 61 and the line is 5. I have to spend some time to explain psychosis. If you're not living your true self, we are psychosis. We only see 3D, right? We don't see the whole picture. But because your unique experience, you can actually see yourself in different angles. And you know for sure, you know it through your heart, you're not that body, right? The structure is 1 to 6. Every line has different structure. And you're number 5. That's the society. The 1 is individual, 2 is partnerships, 3 is units like family, 4 is the network, 5 is the society, 6 is the system. So for society people in the culture, that means you actually connect with a lot of networks. You will reach global community. And the 61, the psychosis, you finally know you don't need to focus on the shadows. Then you eventually go up to inspiration. So you can shift any adversity, become a new idea. So in the highest, you become Sanctity.
Sanctity.
So from psychosis, we have this mental limitation, but when in the sanctity, you don't. Then your personal branding is 8. It's kind of like a partnership, companions, and you become supporter. And that is your brand. Your line is number 4. So you are the server. I mean, your business, whatever you have passion to do, you want to serve others. And you're friendly. The 4 is the friendly, community-based kind of the service we're going to offer. You don't want to stand out when you're young. You want to just hide on the back. So you kind of live with the mediocrity for a while. But I think your experience makes you couldn't hide anymore. You create your book, you serve others in your own unique way. You don't have a label for your service because you're really just like a bright light. With that quantum structure, the vocation, culture, branding, the middle, the core is the pearl. So your pearl number is 41. The 41 is the first cosmo key when the cosmic calendar started. So your core, say you choose to be here, 41, you are the number 6 in line. The line number 6, actually, you're just a teacher, a wizard, or a sage. So you come down here to bringing all the energy, then you share like a teacher. You direct your own movie, right? So your fantasy movie, whatever that the dramas, you can actually predict what's going on. So the anticipation is the gift. You know something's coming. You're accepting everything. So the highest one for your core is called emanation. There you just like all this radiance, all right? Animation out from the fantasy, colorful drama, but there's not a drama everywhere. It's just your pure existence because you cannot separate from rainbow, from all other great lights. So that is your pearl sequence.
Thank you.
That is my honor to share that because that is really just your 3D guidance. If you are already outside of 3D, this is not going to be your experience because this is just the transitions in a way.
And I can see how throughout my life, all of everything that you said played out.
Mhm.
And I think you're right, though. Now I'm in the emanation phase, and it's
Yeah.
just, you know, the abundance mindset over what everybody else is doing in their fear-based stuff. I'm like, no, none of that.
Yeah, you can choose your movie now. You don't need to play that role anymore.
Yeah.
I think it's just we lost the ability to play.
And that's basically what I do is you know, hey everybody, I did this, and
yeah,
you know, I can show you how I did this, and you can take from it what you need so that you can do whatever it is that is yours.
Yeah. I think all your animal around you couldn't agree more.
And I have all the windows and doors and everything closed.
And I also see that beautiful cat on your back. I would like to know your definition for the possibility.
It's anyone can have it. It's our birthright, all of us. If we get beyond all of that stuff that you talked about, and we all have stuff, but if it's letting go of all of that, moving on from all of that, And when you do move on from all of that stuff, which I will call LBS, which is limiting belief systems, but it's also by American standards, that's for pounds, which are heavy weight. If we get rid of the heavy weight and we get rid of the BS, the belief systems, then we can live in abundance, all of us. And it is my vision of the future, and I know a lot of other people that are here, that we will all live in this beyond all the nonsense that is going on now. Is a world where we all live in peace, in freedom, in abundance mindset, equally. And we are all there as individuals. We keep our power. Right now, all the systems ask us, require us to give them our power. When we don't do that anymore, we have enough of what we need. There's no need for the nonsense that's going on around us. This is prosperity. This is the abundance. This is the world that is being created now, especially by the younger generations. The world where there is no more of that. It's just prosperity and abundance, and everyone able to and encouraged to share their uniqueness equally, always. The main thing is, I have my power, I keep it. I do not ask you to give me your power. You have your power, you keep it. You do not ask me to give my power to you. And when everybody equally keeps their own power and has their own power and knows they have their power, that's when we have freedom.
Yeah, definitely. 1000% agree. We are living in this society so long about codependency, right? You know, I need this, I need that, I need approval, I need someone to take care of me. And we don't take that responsibility to really empower ourselves. We just need to have more people willing to step into that and believe they got the power. And I think that's part of my mission, to just share around the profile, their highest expression, because that's really a choice. We are not what we see who we are. I really appreciate you. Keep the good work, and I will see you shine and go to the other side together.
Thank you.
See you around, Lei.